A warm afternoon light falls over the city of Kfar Saba, a community in the center of Israel that has seen months of tension, news alerts, vigils, and unanswered questions. On this day, the atmosphere carries something different. There is anticipation, relief, fatigue, and something that resembles hope, yet shaped by memory and loss. People gather slowly at first, neighbors greeting one another in quiet tones, local volunteers carrying small flags and signs, some wearing shirts that have become familiar over the past year, shirts calling for the return of the hostages taken on October 7th, 2023. As more people arrive, the quiet murmurs turn into applause, cheers, and calls of welcome. They are here for one reason: to see Evyatar David return home. The crowd forms around a modest convoy of vehicles approaching the neighborhood. There is no parade, no official formal ceremony. The significance lies in the moment itself. Evyatar, once abducted from a music festival once held in captivity inside Gaza, has been discharged from the hospital and is returning to the city that waited for him. The vehicle carrying him slows as it reaches the heart of the gathering. People lean forward, phones raised, hands waving. Some people cry, some breathe deeply, unable to express what the day means. The conversation in the crowd is filled with names, memories, and shared experiences of uncertainty. Inside the vehicle, Evyatar sits near a window. His face appears thoughtful, tired, but attentive to the world that has re-emerged around him. His presence alone carries weight. For over a year, his family lived through one of the most difficult states any family can endure: the absence of information, the impossibility of closure, and the persistence of hope. His father, Avishai, sits nearby. The two exchange quiet looks that require no explanation. The vehicle stops, the door opens, the crowd reacts. Applause rises almost instinctively. People step forward but also hold back, creating space. Evyatar and his father step out together. There is no rush. The moment is slow, deliberate, human. They walk among the community, not with fanfare, but with familiarity. Friends, relatives, neighbors, and people who did not know him personally but lived with the knowledge of his absence recognize him immediately. A small circle forms and someone hands a microphone to his father. His voice is emotional, strained slightly by the intensity of the day. He pauses, looks around at the crowd, and speaks. "Thank you all the people from Kfar Saba who came here. There are no words, no words. Avishai David, father of freed hostage Evyatar David." The crowd responds with applause that carries both joy and sorrow. Because while this is a homecoming, it is not a symbol of closure. The context remains complicated. Evyatar was taken during the Supernova Music Festival on October 7th, 2023, a day that reshaped political realities, security priorities, and personal lives across Israel and Gaza. He is one among several hostages who were released under a ceasefire agreement brokered with significant international diplomatic involvement. The agreement temporarily paused fighting, allowing humanitarian corridors, prisoner exchanges, and limited movement in a situation that had otherwise seemed immovable. Under this ceasefire arrangement, Hamas released hostages alive. According to Israeli authorities, as of mid-October following the release, all 20 who were expected to be freed alive had returned to Israel. However, the emotional balance of the situation was not fully resolved. Israel reported that only 15 of the remains of the expected 28 hostages, presumed dead, had been recovered. Families were therefore divided between relief and unresolved pain. In Kfar Saba, this reality is deeply understood. Many of the people celebrating today have stood at similar gatherings for other families. Some have waited for updates on their own relatives. Others still wait. The city has become familiar with the symbols of absence: yellow ribbons tied to railings, posters on street corners, candlelight gatherings near community centres, handwritten notes taped to walls. The moment continues as Evyatar is greeted by people who approach him carefully. Some hug him directly, others simply place a hand gently on his shoulder. There is gratitude, but also a shared understanding that recovery does not end at arrival. A year of captivity shapes the body, the voice, the patterns of thought. In the crowd, familiar faces try not to overwhelm him. The neighborhood that once watched from afar must now relearn how to interact with him in everyday life. There are conversations taking place in low tones around the square. People talk about the hospital, about the medical evaluations, about the transition from captivity to rehabilitation. They mention the social workers who helped, the doctors who monitored progress, the therapists who guided the first steps of reintegration. Some mention the volunteers who cooked meals for the family throughout the weeks and months when their focus could not shift to anything else. A group of teenagers stands near a street lamp. They look at him as someone their age who lived a life none of them have experienced. A mother in the crowd holds her child close and wipes her eyes. Someone begins a small chant of welcome, joined slowly by others. The rhythm is soft, steady. The meaning of this return extends beyond the local community. News outlets have tracked these releases and returns closely, reflecting the broader national sentiment. The hostage issue remains central to public discussion in Israel. It affects political debates, protest movements, diplomatic negotiations, and policy decisions. Families across the country continue to push for more action, more agreements, and more clarity. Each return, whether alive or in death, intensifies the urgency for resolution. In government offices and negotiation rooms, decisions are influenced by the presence of families who speak publicly about their loved ones, lobbying groups advocating for sustained diplomatic pressure, and international partners who weigh the humanitarian impacts of ongoing military operations. The release of hostages under the ceasefire agreement involved coordination at multiple levels, including military channels, diplomatic mediators, international NGOs, and cross-border communication networks. The temporary ceasefire itself required a level of stability that was difficult to maintain. Each day it held was considered uncertain. Back in Kfar Saba, the crowd continues to move along the street with Evyatar and his father. People offer brief words. Welcome home. We waited for you. We're with you. They do not ask for stories. They do not ask for explanations. They simply acknowledge presence. A local official stands near the edge of the crowd, quietly observing. No speeches from him today. This is not a political event. It is a human one. The complexity of national strategy does not diminish the reality of personal return. The two exist simultaneously, though rarely in complete harmony. As the walk continues, someone hands Evyatar a bouquet of flowers. He holds it without theatrics. Someone else places a bracelet on his wrist, a simple band with his name and a date printed on it. Children step forward to wave small flags, some decorated with hand-drawn hearts and messages. A volunteer group coordinated refreshments for the crowd. Coffee is poured. Bread and pastries are offered to anyone nearby. Conversations shift from heavy topics to gestures of hospitality. Over time, the gathering disperses slowly. People know he must rest. They know the next days, weeks, and months will require patience and privacy. But many linger, not wanting to leave too quickly. This day has been long awaited. It is not joy without sorrow, but it is a moment of relief. And relief is something rare. As evening approaches, the last rays of sunlight fall over Kfar Saba. The flags on balconies are still. Posters of support remain where they have been for months. But today, one face once printed as missing now walks among his community once again. The sense of welcome does not erase the past. It does not resolve the ongoing conflict. It does not answer the questions that remain unanswered. But it acknowledges something deeply human. Presence after absence matters. In the quiet hours that follow, when the crowd has gone and the neighborhood returns to its familiar rhythm, a single truth remains clear. This is a homecoming shaped by resilience, by long waiting, and by the work of many unseen hands. The story of one return intersects with many stories still unfolding, and the work continues.
אבל הוא אומר תודה לכולנו, תודה רבה בשם כולנו, אתם אנשים מדהימים, כולם פה, כל תושבי כפר סבא, אין מילים, אין מילים.
השם הבטוח ותמיד מתפעל, רואה בי רק את הנקודות הטובות